The night Nathan Brooks walked into the wrong hospital room, he was already breaking inside. He was a single father running on empty, a man who had learned how to survive without ever learning how to heal. The smell of antiseptic clung to his clothes, his phone buzzed with missed calls from the babysitter, and his heart felt heavier than it ever had. He thought he was there to see a coworker after a late shift, but one small mistake, one wrong room number, would quietly redirect the rest of his life. Before the story unfolds any further, take a second. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the strange ways life brings broken people together, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that even the smallest moments can change everything. Nathan lived in Ohio, in a modest town where grief and resilience often lived side by side. 5 years earlier, his wife Rebecca had died suddenly from a brain aneurysm, leaving him alone with their 6-year-old son, Caleb. Nathan did not have the luxury of falling apart. He worked double shifts as an electrical technician, packed lunches with trembling hands, and learned how to braid hair by watching videos late at night. But grief is patient, it waits, and every quiet moment reminded him of the life he had lost. That evening, Nathan had just finished a 14-hour shift when his supervisor mentioned a colleague hospitalized after an accident. Exhausted and distracted, Nathan decided to stop by the hospital out of obligation more than care. The corridors blurred together, and without realizing it, he opened a door marked with a name he barely noticed. Inside was not his coworker, but a woman lying alone, surrounded by machines that hummed softly like a fading heartbeat. The woman's name was Grace Holloway. She was 34, with pale skin and tired eyes that still held warmth. She was battling late-stage heart failure, a condition she had lived with since childhood, now reaching its final chapter. When Nathan realized his mistake, he froze. Leaving felt rude, staying felt intrusive. But Grace noticed him standing there, unsure, and something about the way he hesitated made the room feel less lonely. Nathan apologized awkwardly, explaining he had entered the wrong room, but he stayed for a moment longer than necessary. Grace had not had visitors in days. Her parents were gone, her only sister lived across the country and was struggling to arrange time off, and the hospital had become a place where time moved slowly and painfully. Nathan did not know why he sat down, but he did. Maybe it was the emptiness in her eyes that mirrored his own. What was meant to be a few seconds turned into an hour. Nathan spoke about his son, about learning to cook simple meals, about how silence felt louder after loss. Grace listened, smiling faintly, as if each word tethered her to the world just a little longer. She spoke about her love for old movies, her fear of being forgotten, and her quiet acceptance of what was coming. There was no romance in that room, only honesty, vulnerability, and a shared understanding of pain. Nathan left that night shaken. He did not tell himself he would return, but he did. The next day, and the day after that, he brought coffee, then books, then stories about Caleb's drawings and school mishaps. Grace looked forward to those visits more than any medication. In a place defined by endings, Nathan became something like a beginning. At home, Nathan wrestled with guilt. He felt as if he were betraying Rebecca's memory by growing close to another woman. He worried about confusing his son, about opening wounds he had worked so hard to keep closed. But Grace never demanded anything from him. She did not ask for promises or future plans. She only asked him to be present, and that, Nathan realized, was something he could give. As weeks passed, Grace's condition worsened. Her breaths became shallow, her strength faded, but her spirit remained astonishingly gentle. She asked Nathan once to bring Caleb, not to meet her, but so she could hear the sound of a child's laughter again. Nathan hesitated, then agreed. Caleb, unaware of the weight of the moment, waved shyly and talked about dinosaurs and baseball. Grace watched him with tears slipping silently down her face, as if imprinting that joy into her final memories. One afternoon, when the doctors were no longer optimistic, Grace made a quiet request. She spoke of how she had always imagined being married one day, not for the ceremony, but for the meaning, to belong to someone, even briefly. She did not want to die as just a patient, just a name on a chart. She wanted to leave this world having been chosen. Nathan did not answer immediately. The idea terrified him. Marriage had once been sacred, then shattered by death. But that night, as he sat alone in his car, Nathan realized something profound. Love did not disappear because it ended, it expanded. Loving Grace would not erase Rebecca, it would honor the part of him that was still capable of love. The hospital chaplain performed a small, quiet ceremony in Grace's room. No white dress, no guests, no music. Just two people holding hands, surrounded by the steady beeping of machines. Grace smiled more brightly that day than Nathan had ever seen. For a moment, illness loosened its grip, and life felt impossibly tender and full. Grace passed away 3 weeks later, with Nathan by her side. He held her hand until it grew still, whispering prayers he barely remembered how to say. When she was gone, the room felt unbearably empty. But Nathan did not feel regret. He felt gratitude. He had given her belonging, and she had given him something just as powerful: permission to live again. In the months that followed, Nathan struggled. Grief returned, layered and complex. But it was different now. It no longer felt like punishment. It felt like proof of love. He told Caleb about Grace in gentle terms, explaining that some people come into our lives for a short time but leave a forever mark. Caleb listened, then hugged his father tighter than ever before. If this story is touching something deep inside you right now, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes love can exist even in the darkest places. Nathan began volunteering at the hospital where Grace had spent her final days. He sat with patients who had no one, listened to stories, held hands, and learned that presence was often the greatest gift. He no longer avoided pain. He met it with open hands, knowing that love and loss were inseparable. Just before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below and tell us, do you believe love can still be real, even when it doesn't last forever? Years later, Nathan would look back on that wrong hospital room as the moment his life changed direction. Not because it saved him from pain, but because it taught him that even the shortest love stories can be the most meaningful. And sometimes, the wrong door leads you exactly where you were meant to be.